Hey guys, welcome to Plant Therapy. This is Mona, and look what I have. I have a silver band Maranta. Finally, I've been passing this up in the stores for a while because I keep thinking, Mona, you're just going to get it home and it's going to look like crap in no time. But as you know, if you've been following me, you know this. I have been trying to grow. I have a couple of prayer plants here that I've been experimenting with. They're in pond. Some of them are in pond and then some in soil still. But my logic is instead of providing a bunch of humidity and all to these plants, I just want to provide the water in the base of the plant. So I've been using self-watering. So does that make sense? Provide the humidity to the roots and see how the plant survives, right? So now this time we're going to try something a little different. And let me introduce you to the sponsor of today's video is Naked Root. They were kind enough to send me this group of planters. I love it. Love the color. It's perfect. This is called Moonlight, by the way. They have several colors on their website. If you ever check them out, you'll find that out. So kind of whatever tickles your fancy. And also included is this hanging, what do you call these? Anyway, you know what it is. Very well rehearsed, don't you think? But anyhow, what I'm going to do is try these out. Okay, this is how they look. So you got the base. This is where the water is going to sit. Now it's different, guys, from, I don't want to get you confused. I was a little at first. It's not considered a self-watering planter because with the self-watering planter, you just make sure there's water in the base at all times, right? But this is different. There's a wet cycle and a dry cycle that they recommend depending on the type of plant you have. If it's a thirsty plant or average household plant, and then also the ones that need to dry out like snake plants, cacti, those type of things. They don't need to be soaking wet, right? So based on the plant, they have a whole little schedule of how you're supposed to do this. So first, you pot up your plant. You water your plant in this. Then you place it in here. Then you fill up the little reservoir with water, probably up to here. And then you wait. You keep an eye on the plant, see how long it takes for that water to disappear from there. But no, you don't go rush off and water your plant yet. You're going to add a period of dryness so that the roots are exposed to oxygen, right? Then you'll go ahead and water after a certain amount of time. They have a schedule. It's really cool. They have a schedule on their website. They have all kinds of instructions on how to do this. So I'm excited to try this. I'm going to pot up a few plants here. I have this Thai lipstick plant. And Jackie, if you're watching, this is the baby you sent me. Look how big she's gotten. Now, hopefully I'll get some flowers eventually. But yeah, I've been kind of slacking with this one. So she needs some watering and I'm going to put her in there. I'm afraid to overwater this one. So this is really going to be an experiment. I hope I don't mess it up. But we're going to trust this whole process and see what happens. Now, this is going to be day one, guys. I'm going to come back in a couple of weeks, show you what the plants are looking like. This is going to be an honest review. And then we'll see. We'll see how this works. Now, I'm going to try to follow the instructions and not just go off and do something on my own, okay? I want to see how this works. The couple, let me see if I can find a picture. I was on the website. The couple who created this are gardeners. And They grow their own food. There's a whole story behind it, really interesting story. So if you have a moment, go on the website, check it out, and you'll see how they came up with this. But it's supposed to be like growing in a grow bag. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but with a grow bag, yeah, you water your plant, the soil sits in the bag, but there's ventilation on the sides of the bags, right? So what happens? The roots are exposed to air all the way around. So all the roots get exposed. So this is how this is supposed to work. I hope that makes sense. If not, please do check on the website because they do a better job of explaining that. But so that's the logic behind this. So you want to be able to give your plant a dry cycle as well as that wet cycle. Now, I'm really interested to see how it works with the prayer plant. The lady who sent these, she said she has a calathea that's doing beautifully in her pot. And, so I'll show you the whole thing. We'll go through this. Let's quickly get this part done. And then I'm going to include on the screen a couple of shots of like an example, like for a thirsty plant as opposed to the average household plant, and then the one that needs to dry out, right? And I'll show you how they have the schedule. Of course, you're going to tweak that a little bit because you're going to watch your plant. And depending on the time of year, the growing season, as opposed to like winter time, you might have to adjust that a little bit. But once you get the hang of how long you can let that plant have the dry cycle for those roots to get the oxygen, you'll adjust it, obviously. And we'll be doing that together. So I'm going to give this a try, all three. I haven't figured out what to put in this big pot yet, but I'll get around to that. Probably not on camera. But if you want to hang around, watch me pot these two up, then feel free. And I'm really excited to see how this is going to work. All right, so give me a moment. Let me set up, get my mat, and we'll get to potting up these plants. Okay, so as you can see, I've started doing this. I was reviewing what I already, I think I said everything I planned on. So one thing I wanted to point out is they said you want to make sure that there's no air gaps down here. So whatever substrate you use, make sure it's filling this area, those four corners there especially. You want to make sure, because that's the wicking zone down there. And so you want to make sure that it's filled sufficiently. And what I'm using, this is cocoa peat, a little bit of pumice, perlite. I think I see some charcoal in there. So I think it'll be a good mix for these plants. I wanted to use pond, but I didn't want to transition this Maranta, like right away and put it in here. And then it starts looking bad and you guys are going to think, oh, it's the planter. When no, it might be just a transition. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. So I decided not to do it like that. Anyway, this has been soaking here in water and hydrogen peroxide. This just came straight from Lowe's, all right? I had gone by there. I had to get something earlier and found this and said, okay, this would be perfect time to get this and try it out. So yeah, so I'm going to add a little bit more soil. Next time, I'm definitely going to be doing that with pond, because that's my preference usually is pond, right? So now I'm going to raise it up a little bit. So what I'll have to do is take this and water it really well. I'm probably going to do that right outside because they said initially you will get some spillage from the little ventilation holes there of whatever substrate until, the first few times you water it. But the beauty of this is that you can easily clean it out, the base. And you know what? One thing I will say with some of my self-watering pots, because you can see through and see where the water is, you see all the algae. I don't really like that look. It kind of bugs me. They say it's not going to harm your plant, but honestly. Now, I wanted to say one more thing. They don't want you to pack it too much above, just the base of it needs to be filled in properly. But here you just want to add enough to support your plant so that it's secure. So you don't really want it to be too packed in there, okay? So there she is. Doesn't that look pretty? Okay. So let's keep moving. Let's do this one. Now with these guys, I think they just like to dry out. So like the dry cycle for this one is definitely going to be longer than that one. However, another thing I wanted to say, the time depends on the planter's size as well. So like, as you know, smaller planters or pots dry out faster than a larger pot. A larger pot is going to hold on to more water. There's more soil or substrate. So they usually dry out. It takes a little longer for them to dry out. This is very relaxing. How many of you feel like this hobby is relaxing? You don't want it to get to the point where you're stressing over it all. When you start doing that, you got to adjust something. The amount of plants, the type of plants maybe. Just remember, this is supposed to be a nice hobby, not a stressful one. Okay, so how's that looking? So I'm going to take these and water them both. Okay, so this is day 1, and then I'm going to watch to see how long it takes for the water to disappear from the base, and add however many days they recommend, and then water it again, and then we'll see. And I think when you water, you're just putting the water in the bottom so that it can just wick it up and get what it needs. So that's it, guys. Day 1 of the experiment, naked root. And also, guys, if you want to try this, you don't have to wait for my experiment. If you're interested in this, go ahead and use the code. They provided me with a 20% off code. It's Mona20, and I'll put that on the screen. And yeah, take advantage of that. Go ahead, check it out, and I'm going to keep you posted. I like this, and I have my eye out on the moss color one. You know, it's like this shade. I want that one, and they have one that's a terracotta color. So I'm definitely going to take advantage. But yeah, I'll keep you posted. Maybe come back like in 2 weeks if I see some change. But I want you to guys take a good look at these plants now.